Hi everyone. I've been watching some of these people using the wives' tales to predict the gender of their baby. I had a son 31 years ago, and as they were saying it, I remembered some of them, so I've checked online, and I've came up with eight that I do remember, and some of them I do There's one, especially one that my husband used. It was the ring test, and I'll get into that when I was possible. The very first one, I carried extremely low from start right through. Right through, I was low all right through my whole pregnancy. I was low. And number two, how they're talking about your skin and stuff. My skin was just going right through my whole pregnancy. I've never had pimples all my life, never. Three, the change of body temperature. With me, my feet got cold. Even in the summertime while I was pregnant, I had to have socks on my feet, and I was always cold. Morning sickness. Number five, the morning sickness. I had a tiny tad of that at first because it was my very first pregnancy. My gynecologist told me because it was my first, but then afterwards it stopped. And as well, my husband, my deceased husband, he bought me in a cup of tea and toast every morning for the first 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks before I hopped up out of bed. And after that stopped, I never ever had any more morning sickness. The ring test, that absolutely sealed it for me. Absolutely sealed it for me was the ring test. That was the very first thing, was the ring test that we done. He took his wedding ring off, got a piece of string, about 10, 15 centimetres long, and looped it up, and the ring hung in the centre. I was lying on a lounge. He came up, he stopped the ring he put the ring on the string, and he just held it till it stayed still, and then after a while it started, and it swung. And it swung strongly back and forth across my stomach. And I mean, it swung. And that came out to be a boy. My mood was always good because I was always a happy person. And that didn't affect me. The sweet and sourness, I love still to today. The saltiness, I've had to cut down on salt. But the sour food and stuff, I love. The sweetness, no, it doesn't do much for me. I'm not a person that likes sweet stuff. I've never liked sweet stuff. 8, the heart rates. When they first started to bring out the ultrasound tests, that was when they first came out, was in 87 going into 1988. I remember seeing when they were doing the tests that his blood pressure was below 140, and when they're talking about the Chinese calendar, I found that, and even that predicted a boy for me. That came true. I was 22 when I was conceived, and I was 22 at my age, and I conceived on the 8th month, and I had a boy. And here is the card from his crib when he was born. Says a boy. That is blue, and that's a boy. So these are wives' tales. I reckon most of these have been wives' tales, and they came true. They all came true for me. The cold feet, I've always had cold feet. I don't know, because I could only ever have one child. I was granted and lucky to be able to have one child, and then afterwards I couldn't have no more. So I never had the chance to test out the cold feet unless it's the second one, because I could never ever have any more after him. So I was lucky to have. I was even lucky just to have the one I had. Okay, so I just thought I'd do this so you could know that some of these wives' tales do, I reckon, are true. Some are true and some are true, especially the ring test. Get your husband to take off his wedding ring. That worked the absolute best for us, was the wedding ring one. That absolutely worked. Lie on a bed or lie on a lounge and get him to hold it above your stomach. And if it rocks back and forwards, it's a boy. It's a boy. And like how I've read, if it spins, it's a girl. And so that worked. That absolutely worked for me. That was the thing that absolutely sealed it for me as well. When they were doing the ultrasound testing, when they were first doing it, I seen something. And I have seen other people's ultrasounds when they're doing them, how low the boy sits in the ultrasound, where the girl's not as, where the girl's up. The boy sits down, right down low. My nephew's wife, she